Good morning. All right, I think today the markets are going to be stuck in a range. I don't see much moving here. Reference points are relatively tight together. We'll go through them and see where things are at. You can see they're on some support over here and some resistance right there. They tested this a few times. We'll see if they can get through here. I hope maybe a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty boring day. Possibly a turn day. It's early in the day. In any event, we all know that. One second, guys. Okay. Yeah. So it's tested down here. You can see 3 times and 3 times rejected up here last week. So support, resistance, can it get through one or the other? And then another resistance level there. And, coming down as hard as they did Thursday, it sure seems like getting back up here in the short term would be virtually impossible. The 50 MA, if it does start to break below there, would be a line of support, which there really isn't anything much of significance to the left. If we look over there, right, just below 38.60 down there. Well, there's a little pivot, but if historically, if a level like this has been tested a whole bunch of times and it starts to break to the downside, that one little pivot might be a stall point, but unlikely to be where it ultimately stops to turn back up again. It's kind of common sense where, buyers step up and then again and again, and that support level breaks. Some little reference point isn't likely to hold. But take note that it's there, and that's a widely followed moving average. Now, if it was to hang here all day and then tomorrow start to break lower, I think even more so that it starts to break, because this would be even a larger area of support to be violating and then head down, which would open up the possibility and thought of a measured move, basically this igniting the beginning of a move, and then a little stabilization time, and then further back down again. So we'll see how it is. It seems to me for the moment that the markets aren't going to be going anywhere too far today. Trader McGraw asking 39.50, 38.50. Yeah. And what did I have written down? I think the upside, there wasn't much of any premium up there. And, you're a little more aggressive than me. I don't, if it gets through here, 39.50 is a possibility. So I wasn't too anxious on that side, because, again, if it gets through here, there's nothing to stop it from going through. And last I looked at the premiums, I think 38, you got 38.50. I think that's the no-brainer trade today for, a put spread on SPX. You got big open interest there. You got a number that makes sense. It's got to get through 38.80 where there's premium. If, it's up, everything, every trade is up to every individual, of course. So there's more premium at 38.60. I don't know what it is right now. You guys can look for yourselves. But when I type these in here, I think 38.50 is the safe. You get to go home today. Remember that line from that cop movie with Denzel Washington? You want to go home tonight? Something like that effect. Anyway, with SPX, the leverage is great. And you get it. If you get it wrong, it's going to be painful. So and I always look at them as being, what is basically a no-brainer type of trade that it's unlikely to get down through trading day. That's it, Dan. Exactly. So SPX, that's the one. My recommendation, and you get to go home tonight. All right. So we all know the NASDAQ's the one that's been getting shellacked the hardest. It's bouncing up a bit here. It's coming up into resistance. Wide range bar. We always look at the halfway level as being a reference point as to it not closing above. It can retrace up there. It can get beyond there, but the candle body should stay in the lower half, and if it's really weak, in the lower third. So it's coming up into resistance. It's where sellers should show up. Now, when prices retrace as they have here, well, you can even see on the 5-minute, it's already violated the trend there. But maybe some kind of retest, just because the markets are up here pre-market before it then rolls over again. The 15-minute is still up, the 5-minute's breaking, and so maybe a little backing and filling for it would go down. And with that in mind, should that happen, I'm going back here where, this starts to come in, maybe waiting a few minutes, see if the markets actually do begin to roll, this number would be even greater. So something to think about. Coming up, from the break area, and Russell. This, as I looked at what's happening here this morning, where prices pulled back into at the end of the week, stabilized, looking at the intraday charts, this led me to believe, range day. Can it break below here or above here? Sure. And if it does, well, this actually could start perking up to a higher level. But let's see. We've got the reference points as to where it's got to get beyond to get some momentum going. IWM put spread for Friday. Well, I would wait until a little later in the day. It's only Monday to see where this goes, but it all depends on how far away. 215. I think that would be safe. But look, if today is the range day that we're talking about here, and it does head down for a measured move, you're going to get a lot more money for it the next day or two. If this starts to come down, and as it came down toward the 50 MA, I think at that point, you'll go even lower and it'll be a no-brainer trade. All right, legging in is fine. There is the possibility that this begins to hold and actually turned up here. I don't think it'll get very far to the upside with these bars that overlap each other like that. But, you just want something to do, put a little on there. Yeah, if, iron condor up above the highs, absolutely. So even the things are up here, and you're having me think about this since you asked the question, of course. But I would start with the call side. If you're putting on an iron condor and sell the call spread up above here, and start with that. Sure. All right. So bonds, all right. The evil bond market, coming down. The 30-year is down here, and will it hold? Will it head down here? So if this does start to head down here, and I think it's a possibility that it does, because the 10-year hasn't reached its support level yet. And while it's at this minor support, right, the significant support is down here, which lines up with the 2% area, which, looking to the left, would be the destination for interest rates to stall there. Now, an accelerated move down there probably gets equities to sell off because this is what's been making them nervous. There is a bunch of resistance there, and so if it shot up there and the market sold off, I think things line up nicely for a little rally at that point where, hey, yields reach this 2%. I think there'll be a lot of, sellers, actually buyers for the 10-year at that point, and you get some relief, for equities, which so far is really not much of a big deal other than Thursday being a bit of a nasty day. And, oil came down real hard on Thursday and, hit this major support level, the rising 50 MA. We talked about this being up at resistance back at this time, and that it was likely that energy stocks were going to falter. And it was just like a no-brainer of putting the pieces together. Oil had this kind of a run. It reaches resistance. There's supply over there to the left, or just an obvious place where sellers are going to be. Big move, profit taking. And now we've got, the XLE down about 7%. And the others that involve have, that's the most diversified of the ETFs. But the XES down about 12%, or OIH is 12%. XES is down 13%. So in the short term, it's, there's still an uptrend, but it's a pretty nice move to the downside. And maybe it's not over yet. Gold down on the support here. It was up a little bit last week. I think a retest and a reversal would be a really nice move there, and to get a turn started. So far it's going sideways, and GDX, a little bit of relative strength to gold. It's down a little here, but it moved up into the resistance area that, a little further into that than gold did. So maybe the beginnings for gold's beginning to stabilize down there. And silver, heading down here. So just not a pattern to get involved with right at the moment. But, we keep watching them, because when things line up, they should make some decent turns. So you got to do the factory work and stay on top of this stuff day to day if you're going to take advantage when the time does come. And whatever's happening in the markets, there's no way to get, extremely bearish. There's no reason to be anyway. But when you see the transports just showing relative strength up at new all-time highs, yeah, that was rejected on Thursday. But, and it was amazing that, it was the way things were gapping down, that the transports went up and the Dow went up on that start of that bearish day. It was kind of a trap in a sense that, that they actually were showing strength, but then, topping tail down on Friday. And that is a classic pattern that suggests they're going to pull back somewhere into this area. So another reason to think that the markets can come in a bit. SMH. So one of the things I talked about in the letter, with tech was, these are bearish looking. I mean, they broke all of this support. They retrace up into resistance. I see it's up here a little bit. The markets are up a little bit. It doesn't really mean much yet. But, and this isn't the exact pattern, but looking at others, one of the things, and I mentioned it in the video, Dan and I were talking over the weekend, and he mentioned about Apple. What's going on here? It's more related to tech. And he said, looks like it'll test the 200. And of course, it certainly looks like it could test the 200. It's pretty close. But I also mentioned, what about the possibility that this is actually bottoming and it's the beginnings of possibly head and shoulders bottom. So as far as SMH goes, if semiconductors begin to show some relative strength here, and Apple, which you can see, was up a little bit more. Actually, it's around 120. It's really not much, but if it holds this area and begins to stabilize, maybe it rallies a bit. So last week, there was a really ugly day. We're in this little bit of a trading range that's going on right now. And I think we need a little bit more information as to whether the markets make that secondary down leg where we stabilize here. So if it's a range day, by definition, that means it's going to be choppy. So, keep it in mind and, don't be the frog in the blender, as we say. And that's it. All yours, Dan.
All right, good morning. Yeah, it's just canceling this bloom in here. We'll watch it on a pullback. Excessive gap there, 29 bucks. All right. All right, the opens are okay. So I'll go right to stocks on the morning watch list. So, but this is a beautiful buy setup. Right here came down, bottoming tail, support, rising 20, retested that WRB. So that's right out of the buy setup textbook. I just had BKS alarm go off. This is on our long watch list today. Wide range breakout. It came from one of you all Friday afternoon. I said, yep, I love it. RCL is on my put spread list over Thursday's high. Then it'll be a red bar ignored, gapping down here. I heard on the news that they said they're going to start some limited cruise in June. But you need to have a vaccine. And I also read the paper today, Greg, you all are having your annual wine, what's it called? Wine and seafood thing on the beach there, Miami Beach in May, but you have to have a vaccine to get in. But you're also in the news this weekend. You got some animals on the loose in South Beach, spring breakers.
They put a curfew down there to contain the crazies.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Hope they don't come up here to Lauderdale. All right, Thomas asking about boot. Can't tell where it's gapping, but yeah, nice daily close. It's not a 1, 2, 3 because these two bars are not inside bars, but nevertheless, it's bullish price action. That's what Greg's course teaches you. So boot, we'll add it to the watch list. Cash, yeah, good ones, Thomas. STKL. Yeah, that is a red bar ignored breakout, but the problem is not as crazy about the price void there. So I like your other two better. Yeah. Yeah. It's, just getting on board. It's a strong uptrend. CBD, Roger. Yeah. Yeah, I'd prefer more of a resting day or 2 or 3. But that's a very powerful 15-minute chart right there. Oh, really, John? That's that is the interesting talk. That's because I surely thought the vaccine means you couldn't get it. That's it. Wow, we'll talk about it later. That's interesting. Yeah, over a slow period, let's come back to that. All right, DYAI bottoming pattern, but I like the bottoming tail on Wednesday, and then the wide range bar here. Price void, well, but now $8 is too big. If this same pattern right here on the 15 was, let's just call it $5.50, then I would like it because then it's bottoming pattern and has a price void, but now $8 is too big. Yeah, Emmanuel's saying that's not true. Yeah, well, let's come back to it later because that is, I'd like to know myself. Norbert, clean and clean, gapping up 16. Yeah, 30-minute high. I like the pre-market action. Yeah, I'm not going to be rushing into anything today. The Qs are holding the strongest. But sure, I'll put it on the list. Michael, you can put your drop down, all panelists and attendees. Michael's asking me about TPR. It is in an uptrend, but no great pattern, no great price void. So I like these other ones we've been talking about so far. Let's see, data. I just saw on the ticker going by, did a little pre-market blast off. And there's still room on that one. So let's come back to that. This looked like a Robin Hood toy last week, gapping down. 30-minute low. This actually looks like a day trade short. It looks like it could easily come 20, $22. That'd be a nice day trade. Moon. There was a positive article in Barron's on space companies. So this ETF, Moon. Greg, you got to start watching that. Look at this. That thing went to the moon, all right. 25 to 50 and change. Talking about moon, I like space. We have as a foot spread idea. And there was one other in the article that I liked, that a big double bottom. I don't reckon, I'll come back to, I'll hit it here shortly. Let's see, Pepsi got an upgrade, bottoming pattern. McGraw, 30-minute high put spread idea. UTZ, McGraw mentioned to me, and I said if we can get a 1, 2, 3, then I would love it because that's an inverse, big old inverse head and shoulders on the daily, and breakout on the weekly. McGraw gave me this one too, Mr. Another kind of reverse head and shoulders at the 50. So yeah, let's keep an eye on Mr. KSU being bought out by CP Railroads. So anyone, I have zero interest in trading these two stocks, but let's check other railroads for possible setups. CSX gapping up, well, actually a gap over a red bar. No great pattern, but yeah, I think there's going to be, it's just a normal reaction. You get a merger buyout, and then people are like, oh, okay, who's going to be the next one? And that's what's pretty much making that gap up today. Lending Club, wow, what crazy explosion last week. I have no idea what the news was, nor do I care. If this were gapping up like $5, then that would be a beautiful gap and crap candidate. That rocket looks like it'll stall sometime. RLX, this was a recent IPO. Wow, that's getting its head taken off here. 1280, gapping all-time lows. That is not off to a good start. Wow. DM. Yeah, yeah, made a higher low. Yeah, it's worth watching. 30-minute high. All right, that's KSU. So yeah, if somebody wants to check out some of the competitors, LMT was in that space article, had positive mention, but no pattern. Surprised it's getting down. A CPA and Azul both got downgrades at JP Morgan. And it's interesting, JP Morgan is on CPA and Azul, the reason they downgraded them is these are South American airlines. And they said because there's been no significant change in the business fundamentals. And isn't exactly that's what I've been like a broken record about for so long. I'm like, so many things are at all-time highs and their revenue's cut in half. And I mean, Marriott's Marriott's at all-time highs. Really? Their revenue, there was a big article in the journal today on airline traffic. And it said, it had a nice picture in there about the traffic to South America, traffic to Europe, traffic domestically. And the traffic to Europe is down like, I think it said 74%. So Delta and American obviously have huge international routes. And look how much Delta's recovered. Really? And their business is down 74%, but the stock has recovered 90%? Makes no sense to me. Yeah, Tesla, I heard Kramer talking about Kathy Woods from that ARK fund pounding the table on Tesla, saying it's going to 3,000. I guess she just wants to pump up her ARK funds. It is a bullish gap. There's just no pattern, is all. There's no there's resistance right there. There's nothing to do with it. Then there's no pattern, Raj. No, there's absolutely nothing on the daily. Maybe Friday's high for a day trade, but I'm pretty sure we can find better stuff. Like Mr. Big. Mr. Big 30-minute high. I'm not trading it now. We're in Reeker, but I had an up alarm. We're in trail mode on Reeker. Oh, hey, you all see what we're doing right now? Pre-market and trading the open here and so forth. That's MT Live topic this Wednesday. Is market prep and trading the first hour, whether you're day trading or swing trading, it's both. You can trade the first hour to get into your swing trades and then go to the golf course or be done for the day. All right, Reeker. Check that stop. Reeker. All right. We're in just daily trail mode. Let's go ahead and move it to 30-minute low. Wow, Q's ripping here. And diamonds. Wow, this is, I've never seen so much positive correlation from the Q's and interest rates. They're just on their own page. Freaker. Apple. Yeah, no great pattern. Somebody emailed me asking about a put spread on RNG. And I said no, because there's no potent reversal yet. I mean, it came down with a WRB. Momentum has slowed, but it's a bearish engulfing on the weekly. Google's actually weak here. Of the fangs. Netflix. Pink sheet stock closed manually. What? Detected, what on earth are you saying? You're saying that that's a error you got from the broker? Yeah, we're in XPEV already. Yeah, put spread. Apple. Yeah, they're buying. I mean, they're after the Qs right now. Qs look higher. Qs are bullish. So diamonds look lower. I wanted to put a call spread in the weekly options trader. This totally looks lower. Your stop kind of has to be 328 here, though. This over this wide range igniting bar from Friday. But let's watch a bounce. Let's watch shorting a bounce. Let's watch 30-minute low. Up, up alarm. You can do 5-minute low. So 26.29 on top.